Hello, is that Vladimir?
Hello, yes.
Hi, Vladimir. This is
Hello.
Paul Steinberg from The Right Stuff on J-Air, 88 FM. Firstly, thank you for agreeing to receive our phone call. I'm also with my co-presenter, Harry.
Good evening, Vladimir.
Yes.
Do you mind us talking to you now about the situation going on in Ukraine?
Yes, of course.
Oh, thank you very much. So just for our listeners and for our Facebook listeners that we're going live now, Vladimir, I believe you are the charge d'affaires of the Ukraine Embassy in Australia. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So again, thank you very much. We see in the media over the last number of weeks, maybe it's as much as maybe a couple of months now, we've been seeing that that the Russian troops are building up on the border of the border with Ukraine, and we'd like to know, Harry and I and our listeners, we'd like to know more, please, if you've got any information about what is about the truth behind what's going on in that region.
Well, the situation still tense because Russia continues to build up to reinforce its military units along the border with Ukraine. It's actually our eastern border, and from the south we have illegally occupied the next peninsula, Crimea, that was taken by force by Russia in 2014.
Right.
During last week, Russia started to send their troops to neighboring Belarus. We have border with Belarus to the north.
Yeah.
And they also started new military drills.
What is a military drill?
They are trying to speculate that this is some kind of warning or something else to Ukraine, but it's a kind of dangerous game because to keep armada of 100,000 plus military personnel during winter time in the field, there is something behind it, and there is some kind of goal, yes.
Yeah.
And
are there people that live in that region along that border area, or is it empty area?
Well, there are obviously people living in those areas, but probably you have seen in the satellite images of the Russian military units and their tanks and military machines that stationed in not far from the border. So, of course, it's worrisome to us, but we live under the ongoing military threat from Russia for already 8 years, and we actually have active military conflict with Russia.
Consistently active.
So may I ask, is there currently there's current military interaction, but it's now looking as though there's going to be an escalation of that. Is that correct?
We have the area that is called the Donbass, and again in 2014, after Russia annexed Crimea, they sponsored and sent troops actually this area to initiate pro-Russian fighting with regular Ukrainian troops. And we have, for 8 years, we have shelling and fighting that is going on at this area.
So what does
every day.
So what does your, for example, you probably have family in Ukraine. I was privileged to be in Ukraine in Kiev in 2020. I just had a quick visit there. What does the average person, your family, what are they saying about what's going on, or are they just getting on with life as usual?
Well, first of all, there is no panic on the ground, yes, because this threat from east, I cannot say that we get used to it, but we live with the everyday news information that we have that Russian pro-Russian forces fired to the Ukrainian troops, and there were casualties, stuff like this. So, of course, it is worrisome, yes, and it is dangerous when you have more than 100,000 troops at your border. But it's not possible to live under the constant stress, and you get used to it to some extent.
So at this stage, sorry to interrupt again, Vladimir. If at this stage of this tension, what would you say to the Russian Federation? What would be the best way forward in order to achieve some sort of peaceful resolution?
The first step needs to be taken, and it's very simple. In order to de-escalate, the Russian leadership have to give order to pull the troops back to their barracks, where they station permanently, in order to have constructive conversation. Because it's difficult to negotiate when you have such significant amount of troops on your border. But so it's very simple. There is no threat from Ukraine to Russia.
Right.
And that is why our president proposed to have any kind of
dialogue
meeting that will be relevant and suitable for the international community to negotiate, including Russia. But since the negotiations already started at the level of U.S., Russia, NATO, Russia, it was very important for us that there shouldn't be any agreements on Ukraine without Ukraine. It means that, we believe that there is no way in 21st century you can one country can decide for another about their future.
Well,
there is no way you can cross on the map lines of spheres of influence.
Yeah. There is a long conversation we could sit down and have a slivovitz over for many an hour. Vladimir, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you, Vladimir.
We certainly wish you, your family, everyone in the Ukraine all the best. Hopefully we'll be able to talk to you soon and you'll have some great news for us.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for taking our
Thank
call.
you
All
very
the
much.
best.
All the best. Bye.
You're listening to J-Air, Jewish Australian Internet Radio. J-Air broadcasts to Caulfield and nearby suburbs on 87.8 FM, as well as
88 FM.
streaming online at
88.
j-air, that's air.com.au.
That's a very old promo I put in the lineup, isn't it?
So how do you think? What's your reflection on that, Harry?
Well, as I say, I only learnt recently that like there's been conflict over the last 8 years.
Didn't he say 80 years?
8.
Oh, I thought it was 80.
You've got to learn to listen through accent.
I'm sorry.
So yeah, the last 8 years there's been conflict, but I think it's escalating now because Ukraine wants to become a member of NATO. The Russians don't want Ukraine becoming a member of NATO for whatever reason. I mean, just because they become a member of NATO.
Oh, is that a lot of
automatic-
what it has to do with?
This is what I'm hearing. So now, and the thing is, when I learnt that there's been a conflict for 8 years, why all of a sudden is it being foisted? Like, how long has it been going on? I understand Russia now has, I think it's 130,000 troops stretched along the eastern border, and they've set up field hospitals and God knows whatever else. They're
Getting ready.
So generally, you don't need to set up field hospitals to run drills.
I
right?
think
the other thing
we should
that
find out
Vladimir
some of
said-
these truths, some more truths from
The
the
other
Russian
thing
people.
that Vladimir said that really got me thinking just now is
Yeah.
they're doing this in the middle of winter.
Yes, that is interesting.
So from a logistical point of view,
Much
it's an
harder.
absolute nightmare. You've got to keep your troops warm. You've got to keep them fed. There's much,
yeah.
it's more than just, here's a couple of sangers and a bottle of water.
And the roads
Out-
are in bad condition.
Out you go. It's really, I mean, let's face it. The Germans lost the war because of the Russian winter. That was a big part of it because little Adolf decided to keep on going east.
Not that we're comparing
and
anyone
ran
to,
into-
to Germany or
No,
Hitler.
I'm not. No, but just from a military strategy, forget political ideology, but from a military strategy point of view, you'd rather be fighting in the spring or the autumn than you would the summer or the winter.
Before we go on, sorry.
So I found that's a really interesting, pricks my ears, just made my ears prick up and start trying to understand what's going on there.
Let's have a...
And the other question I have now is is there something going on in the United States that all of a sudden Joe Biden's getting involved in international affairs?